I believe that's a harder model than it has to be.
Hmm.
I think, Ray, what you're sharing is, and I'm reflecting on what I shared last night, with the students, and I didn't talk about faith. I think that, generally speaking, I've shied away from that.
Sure.
I have a lot of, I have a lot of feelings about that, and I'm personally a believer, but I tend to focus more on recommending that people find self-awareness and the definition of how and how they go about doing, and kindness as
Yeah.
in my view being two significant cornerstones in being able to live a meaningful life and achieve. And then the path people choose to get there, I leave to them. But I absolutely understand where you're coming from on that, and I think that anyone in the audience who is a seeker, whether you find it in faith or you find it in meditation or you find it in reading poetry, I think it's a beautiful thing that you go inwards, because generally speaking, that is the path. The path out actually comes from within. And that may not necessarily be the most obvious thing, but that's what I've learned in my life, is that I had to go in order to get through. I want to talk about faith over fear. You talked about that. It's first tell our audience who may be interested in that how they could find out more.
Yeah.
And and I know we only have you for a couple more minutes. I'd also like to hear you talk about consistency. And that's another thing you mentioned before. In fact, you gave us the quote in the pre-interview: "The reason people aren't consistent is always based on an observation they made as a kid." And I think it's a really interesting statement. So between that and what you're helping people learn in Faith Over Fear, what can people what can people take away from that? Since we can't change the past, what can we take away from that in terms of moving our lives in the direction we want our lives to move?
Yeah. So we all made observations as kids, all of us, right? And it created programs within us. And there's a lot of different words people use for this. Strongholds would be a biblical term, but strongholds or programs, paradigms, they created in us that are really the pilots of our life. Okay. And so the best thing to share what I mean here is to give an example. So I was coaching this lady. So I used to go on what's it called? I haven't been on it in a while. The audio thing where it's just audio. Nah, I forget what it's called. But anyway, so you go on there and people get in this room and you can let people speak. And I used to just do coaching, just random coaching, right? I don't know who they are. Come on here. And so this lady gets on and she shares with me that, over the last whatever 10 years, she would start a career, crush it, and then she would always find, what, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with these guys. And she would leave. She'd go to another thing, crush it, do really well, break records, and then she would leave. And it was just over and over and over. Now, a pattern.
Was it Clubhouse?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
As you said it, I was like, God, what is that?
Yeah, what is that, right? And so a pattern, right? Wherever you go, there you are. So a pattern is a lesson is repeated until it's learned. And so, and I know that your patterns are from, absolutely no question, they're from observations as a kid, from coaching, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of people. And so I asked her, so her history is go somewhere, do really good, find something wrong, leave. Go somewhere, do really good, find something wrong, leave. And I said, okay, tell me about what was your relationship with your parents? And she said, oh, they were perfect. They're still together today. They're amazing. And so I also know that our memory will literally block things to protect us. Okay. And so, and I also got it that she was a little rebellious personality. So I said, I just had to speed things up. And so I said, it's okay if you don't remember, which to a rebellious personality, it actually, kind of challenges them. And she goes, and we're on audio. So I don't know, was she just in an accident? Like she just, like what's going on, right? And so she comes back and she says, I just remembered as a little girl catching my mom cheating on my dad. And I'm like, got it. That's your problem. And she's like, what? Well, as a little girl, everything was going well. Everything was perfect. And all of a sudden, you were surprised. And as a little girl, you vowed that'll never happen again. I'm going to be in control next time. So that's what you do. As soon as things start getting well in a relationship or business or career, you get out of there because you ain't going to be surprised again like that little girl was. And so that transformed her. And so now she is no longer like that. And so people who struggle with consistency, it is always from an observation they made as a kid that drew the wrong conclusion to success. So if their parent, a really common one, if their parents were really successful and ignored them, they will sabotage success because they never want their kids to feel ignored like they were. If their parents made a bunch of money and lost it, they will sabotage making a lot of money because they don't want to go through the pain of losing it. And clearly that's the only option. Okay. And, you know, like for me even, right. Mine was a little different. My resistance to God, right. To even, you know, wanting to know, that's why I stayed out of the church my whole life. Right. My resistance to God was because of my observation of my father. How we think about our biological father is how we think about our heavenly father. So I thought God was mean, uncaring. I'd never be good enough. He'd never be proud of me. So that's what I projected onto God, and that's what kept him away from me. When I realized that that's not the case, when she realized that it doesn't have to be the case, when others realize that, hey, you can make money and maybe not make the same mistakes, then they have that breakthrough and they can actually create transformation. The Faith Over Fear event, that's our annual event. And, you know, last year we had about 1,200 people in Orlando. This year we believe we'll have 2,500 to 3,000 in Orlando. October 31st and November 3rd, and you can learn more at faithoverfearlive.com.
Faithoverfearlive.com. Ray, I'm gonna let Tal close, but I just wanted to let you know, first of all, fantastic having you on. You're amazing. I'm so happy to have met you. This has been inspiring for me.
Likewise.
And we definitely have to have you back. There's so many things we didn't even get to in regards to business and your fantastic outlook and all the programs that you're doing. And I really want to delve into how you're going to be on Dancing with the Stars in the near future. So let's, you know, we'll definitely have you back on whenever your time allows. We would love to
be more than happy to.
All right. Well, Tal, finish us off, buddy.
Sounds good. Ray, I'm grateful for your time today, and I absolutely echoed. We need to have you back. It's funny. I was looking through our notes, and we went through like a third of our questions. So we have a lot to still talk to you about, and we'd love to have you back, and we hope we can. Yeah. Our guest today was Ray Higdon. He's the best-selling author of Time, Money, and Freedom. He's one of the world's most popular business podcasters. He is an incredibly high-energy keynote speaker. If you've not seen him, go to YouTube and watch a couple of his videos. They're amazing. And it's been a privilege. I'm very grateful that we had you on. And I'm sure that regardless of the fact that maybe from a business content standpoint, we didn't cover as much as we may have wanted to, I believe we made an impact today. And I look forward to our audience telling us about that. So please reach out to us at www.bravingbusiness.com. There's a comment section. Many of you send us comments after episodes, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you'd like to see us do more of. This was our first foray into, faith-based business, and it's a step I'm glad we took, and I'm particularly glad we had the privilege of taking it with someone like Ray. So Ray, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.